everyone, and welcome to the December vlog. Can you believe Christmas is just around the corner? And by the time you see this video, it's going to be even closer. And then we start a new year, and I can tell you, I am so excited for 2025. 2024 has been a roller coaster of a year. A lot of highs, but there have also been some real lows in it as well. Business side of things, not lifestyle. Life has just been up here on that roller coaster. It's been so good. Our lives have really changed for the better since we moved to the Sunshine Coast, and I know so many of you say that I'm looking so much happier and more relaxed, and honestly it's the little things in life which can make such a difference. Hubby and I see each other so much more now than we have ever done in the past. We've both worked in hospitality. We know the hours that go into hospitality, and it is a brutal job to be in. So many people look down on hospitality workers, but I can tell you it is among some of the hardest jobs, because you are pulled away from your family so much with the most unsociable work hours out there. But we've both worked in hospitality and we know what it is to work in there. But it was getting ridiculous when we were in Brisbane. It wasn't as bad when we lived up in the far north Queensland, but when we moved to Brisbane, it got ridiculous. There were certain people at my husband's workplace that cried and put tantrums on if they were put on late shifts, and so hubby always ended up on these late shifts. We never got to see each other. Literally, we'd see each other for an hour in the morning before I headed into the shop. By the time I got home, he'd be off at work. He wouldn't be home till 11 o'clock at night. I'd be in bed by the time he got home. So we were literally seeing each other for less than a day a week. And it was really, really starting to take its toll on both of us. But since moving here to the Sunshine Coast, we get to spend hours with each other every single day. And it's just been good. It really, really has. So really happy about that. There have been some lows. I have to admit that one of the things I've said to people, it is almost like I have started my business all over again by moving into a completely new location. I left behind 12 years worth of customer base when we left the Redlands. All my local customers, people who had been following me since my very first market, who were still coming to me in my Cleveland shop. I left behind all of that, and it's basically like starting all over again. Yes, I have got my online customers, and I appreciate you guys so much, because you have really kept my business afloat for the last few months. And in fact, because of the move, I have attracted a whole lot more of online customers from in that sort of Redlands area. And I appreciate you guys so much. It has been really tough in the shop. For the first couple of months, it was really good. And then we had about 4 weeks where I would literally come home petrified over how I was going to get through Christmas, how I'm going to get through the new year. Am I going to survive even 12 months in this new shop? But now that we've kind of hit that sort of Christmas time and people are looking at more of the shops around them, I am attracting those locals, and that little real low that I have been sitting on for a little while, I've just started to come back up, and it's started to become really good. And hopefully over the next couple of months, I'll be able to attract even more of the locals into the shop. And that's something I'm going to have to work on in 2025. But more on that a little bit later. What I'm doing now, I've had a busy morning so far. I have been on the computer. I thought before I get the camera and get distracted by it, I'm going to sit and clear all of my admin work, because as we get to the end of December, as a small business, making enough sales to be registered for our GST tax system, at the end of every 3 months, I have to do a BAS statement, so business activity statement, where I say to the government, I've collected this much GST, I've paid that much GST, and they generally go, give us a little bit more. On occasion, they do give me some back, but 90% of the time I have to give them a little bit more GST. So now that it's only a couple of weeks away, I decided I had to sit there and get all of my books up to date. So when we get into the first sort of weeks of January, I can just sit there, print the reports, fill in my tax. And hopefully it would be nice if I got a rebate, but I doubt I will, because a lot of the big expenditures happened in the last quarter. But I got all of that done and out of the way. I've just cleared off my my multi-use desk, let's call it, because it's not always a sewing desk. But I have just cleared off my tabletop, and I'm about to take some photos of some new products that I do want to release this week. I was meant to release them last week, but the weather has been so bad for the last couple of weeks. I didn't have good enough lighting in here to take photos. So I gave up last weekend, but I have to get the photos done this weekend. I really, really want to get these out. My Pamper Club members have been getting these for free in their December orders, and I'm so excited for them. I have car air fresheners coming into the range. I think I'm addicted to sublimation. Oops, a new addiction. I'm addicted to fragrances, addicted to spatulas, and now I'm addicted to sublimation as well. But I'm so excited to be bringing out a range of car diffusers, and tomorrow I'm going to actually go and print up some more print work so we can make some more. Many years ago, I did jump on that bandwagon of the car diffusers. You know those little bullet car diffusers that you fill up with diffuser oil and then you hang them up, and they're like a little glass bottle and they release their scent into the wood. I jumped on that bandwagon years and years and years ago. I was still doing market, so I'm thinking it was probably, well, we've been here, it must have been at least 5 or 6 years ago I jumped onto that bandwagon. And I actually only sold them for about a year. And what happened was, I actually had one in my car and it fell apart. And I hadn't had my car very long and it fell apart, and I ended up with a mark on my dashboard, and I was absolutely devastated because you just couldn't get it out. Absolutely devastated by that. My dad also had one in his car, and his did the same thing. The bottom glass bit fell off the wooden part, and he stained the interior of his car as well. And I've heard lots and lots of people say that. And basically what's happening is, when these things are hanging up on wherever they go, when you go around a roundabout, this starts swinging. And as it's swinging, it's gently loosening that cap. And I wasn't aware of that. And I do know now that if you've got them in the car, you need to be tightening them up every so often, especially if you live in an area that is full of roundabouts, or if you do a lot of turns on your way into work or wherever you go. You should be tightening those caps onto those diffusers, because eventually as it's swinging, they loosen and they fall off. And if that diffuser oil, these aren't diffuser oils in here, but those diffuser oils, if they get onto surfaces, they will eat into anything. It's almost like, it's a solvent that goes into them. So after I had that experience, and my dad had that experience, I basically sold what I had and I stopped selling them, because I didn't want to be responsible for ruining anyone's cars. And interestingly enough, a couple of years after I stopped selling them, my insurance came up for renewal, and one of the questions that they sent to me was, do you sell car air fresheners filled with diffuser oil? And I said to them, no, I don't, but can I ask why? And they said, because if you do, you're not covered. They create too much damage in cars. And I went, perfect, we're not selling them. And she said, if you do sell them, you're not covered. And just for if anything happens with those diffusers, you are not covered. You're covered for everything else, but not that particular product. And I said, that's fine, I don't sell them, don't intend to sell them. But over the years, I have been asked time and time again if I do car air fresheners. And it's like, nope, can't get insured for them, don't do them. And it's been playing on my mind that I really want to offer them. And then I decided, let's have a go at making this style, these are basically a felt, a pressed felt, and you sublimate your designs, whatever. Well, you don't have to, you could just have them as a white piece of card if that's all you want in there. But basically I've made them double-sided, so they've got some designs on each side. I have some fragrance which will be coming, we'll have, there's 9 of them in my basket here. So they all come, there's a 20 ml bottle of fragrance in the box, and then basically all you do is you pop a couple of drops into each of the corners. Now I've done a little bit of experimentation with how I do my fragrances. I know there's another company out there, and I've actually got one in my car, as does my hubby and my dad as well. They're actually called Smelly Balls, and they're really, really nice. They're a Sunshine Coast company, and they get like the little round felt balls, and somehow they've put them all together, and then you put some drops of fragrance on them and hang them in your car. Now their fragrance, I believe, I can't be 100% sure, but I believe it is 100% concentrated fragrance oil, and I find it doesn't last very long because of the way it evaporates. And my other sort of concern with that is that there are a lot of do's and don'ts when it comes to fragrance oil that people just don't understand. I've got fragrance oils in my range, or I've actually had them in the past. I stopped stocking them, but I had fragrance oils in the past, and people say, oh, can you make me a moisturizer with it? No, it's not body safe, it's only safe for candles. Or they've said, can you make me this with it? It's like, I can, but I can only put a fraction of the scent in it because it can only be used in certain amounts. Or people say, I really, really love this, I don't know, this perfume, can you add more fragrance? I can't, because there's a usage rate on fragrance before it actually starts to irritate the skin. So there's lots and lots of guidelines. And my sort of concern was, if I gave people a bottle of this, and I've seen it with essential oils when I've tried selling essential oils, even when I had my little diffuser test me bottles at the markets in these, people come along and they go like this, it's like, that's not body safe. Ooh, you can't do that. The amount of people that used to use my diffuser fragrant smell me tester bottles as perfume, it was just insane how people sprinkle stuff on them without actually knowing what they're putting on their skin. So my sort of concern, going back to that, is giving someone 100% concentrate of fragrance. It doesn't matter what warnings I put on here, people are still going to try and do the wrong thing with them, such as wearing it as perfume, putting extra into their moisturizer, and then they're going to come, well, why have I broken out in a rash? Why have I got skin burns? Oh, because you've used the fragrance wrong. So going off it, and plus, as I said, with these Smelly Balls and others where I've actually tested, I actually did my own testing of putting 100% fragrance oil on these, and it just doesn't seem to last very long. So I actually did a few different sort of variations. I have diluted it with a carrier oil. I have diluted it to actually make it into a perfume, for those that decide to sprinkle it all over themselves. And I've done a few different tests, and I came to the conclusion the best way of offering my fragrance was to make it up basically like I'm making a perfume. So it's got a little bit of alcohol in there to help with the evaporation, a bit of water in there to help dilute it down, the fragrance, and then a bit of solubilizer as well, so to help hold it all together. So it's actually quite a fluid liquid that's in here, and all you do is take top off, put some drops in the corners. And the other really good thing, I digress, not too far though, the other really good thing about this is if I gave someone 100% concentrated fragrance oil, or some people I know dilute it with reed diffuser base as well, if I did that and you spilt a drop in your car, it is going to damage the interior of your car. The way I've actually diluted this, and I accidentally tested it, I didn't realize a drop had actually fallen onto my center console, And I didn't notice it until the next morning when I got back in my car that there was this drop. I was actually able to wipe it away and it has left no stain on there. So that's another reason I'm doing these as a diluted fragrance. Anyhow, we're already off to a very long start here. What I need to do is take some photos. I've got a bit creative on the computer and I've done a bit of a mock-up photo. I want to take a real photo of the product so people can actually get a sense for what it really looks like. But then I've done a little bit of a mock-up photo. So I've got a blank one of these that sits on my little wooden board that I've got down here. And then I'm going to take photos of each of the different scent blends that are available to go with it. So then basically all I have to do is go onto the computer, rather than taking, I've got 9 fragrances and at the moment I've got 8 different designs. So rather than taking, what, my maths has just gone out my head, 73 photos, all I have to do is actually take 9 photos, 1 each of the oils. Then I can get onto the computer and just mock image onto the blank air freshener here, and that should save me a whole heap of time. But I'm not going to save any more time if I keep on yakking to you. So what I'm going to do is get these photos done. I also have some new clip balms I need to take photos of. I'm then going to head down to the post office. Going to go and take the weekend orders down there, and when I come back we'll start editing the photos. I just noticed Miss Pepper is sound asleep. She is so over this miserable weather that we've had this week, and I think she's just pleased to be inside the house today rather than outside in the rain. So I'm going to go get a bit of music on and go get these photos done, and we'll get on with the day. So I'm just getting set up to do this mock-up photo that I am trying to do to try and save myself time. Basically what I need to do is take a background photo that is going to appear basically the same every time. The only thing that's going to change is the fragrance in it. Now I could, if I tried, get really fancy and do a blank of my card and then put in a blank bottle and then impose the label on the top. However, I'm only just entering into the world of mock-up photography, and I'm not quite at a point where I can do a mock-up of the curve of this bottle. It's something I'm going to work on in 2025 to really help with taking photos a lot quicker for next year. But for now I'm just going to do a really basic mock-up photo, and when I do it on the computer I'll try and show you how I'm doing it there. What I've done, I've actually popped my camera onto an old tripod. This is a tripod that I used to use when I was in the shed doing soap videos, and used to see that downward angle. It took me a long time to find this tripod, and it was not cheap when I found it. It's a Manfrotto, and I had to actually go to a camera specialist store to get it, and it weighs a ton, absolute ton this thing does. But it does actually give me a 90-degree angle on the arm, so I can actually now do what we call a flat lay photography, which is going to really help me with what I'm trying to achieve. So what I've done is I've just laid my sort of base of what I want onto the top here. So I've given myself my blank, so it gives me an idea of where I need to put my mock-up stuff when it comes time to doing it on the computer. So I'm going to put my little blank one here, and the idea is when people select, say they're going to select this Keep On Shining car diffuser, they'll get to pick which diffuser that they want. And the way I've got it set up on my Shopify store is if they select the Keep Shining and say the Sun-Kissed fragrance oil, when they put that selection into the computer, this is the photo that they'll see, the Keep on Shining and the fragrance blend. But if they were to put the Keep on Shining and Black Raspberry, that would be the picture that they see. Now, instead of taking, as I said, 81 photos, what I want to do is we're going to do a blank, and then I'm going to take 9 photos with my fragrance. Now, I'm just using a little bit of blue tack, which I'm going to stick under the lid of my bottle, and that will allow me to put the bottle without it rolling all over the place. Let's get this camera lined up a bit better. I'm going to be putting a shadow if I work there. So what I'm going to do is move my light. Hopefully that didn't blind you on the camera. I'm going to put my light over here. Oh, it makes it even worse. Now we can do a really weird angle. I'm just going to play around and get this how I want it. And it might be easier if I actually just move my board where I want it. When I'm looking at my camera, so here's my screen that I get to see now. I always shoot my photos in RAW, and this was something that was taught to me when I did a photography course with Photo Genius, and he said to always shoot it in RAW, because then when you import this into things like Lightroom, or I'm now using Affinity Photo, you can actually change a lot of this color background easier than if you shot in JPEG. It does take up a lot more space, but it gives you so much more editing flexibility when you shoot in RAW. So, and I also have all of my grids on here. Now I basically want 2 different styles of photos, one to go on my website, which is square, and one to go on my socials, which is rectangular. So when I'm looking, I'm actually looking at what I can see in squares and rectangles on my screen here. And I know if I zoom in like so, that's going to give me a really nice square. We've got 4 across, 4 up, and it's going to give me a really nice square photo to go onto my website. But you can see we've only got those things and none of the props. So yeah, I kind of keep moving things around until I'm happy. I'm looking at my square to see what I've got for the website, and then I'm also looking at a rectangle, which can either go up or it can come down as well. So I'm going to keep playing around with this until I get the shot that I want. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that shot now. We've got something down in this corner, we've got something up in that corner, and then we've got our focal point, which is kind of in there. So I'm going to start taking my photos. Alright, I think I've done it. It's not the correct way of doing mock-up photos, but for someone who is just trying to learn and just trying to give it a go, I'm pretty pleased that it's actually taken me less time to put this to figure out how to put this together than it would have taken to take all 81 photos, edit all 81 photos. And the really good thing is, now that I've got these basic photos, as I add more and more designs of my air fresheners in, all I have to do is come in and put the air fresheners in, and I don't have to keep taking those photos, bringing the scents home and taking more photos. So I'm really happy with what I've done. So basically, it's about creating layers. I'm using Affinity Designer. Lee from Wickedly Goods put me onto this program. I was using Adobe, and then this year I decided I just couldn't afford it anymore. I couldn't warrant what they were asking for. When I did look at the price, it was over $1,000, and then I got sent an offer to renew for under $1,000. It was just like, I can't warrant it anymore. I'm not using it to its best ability. I need something, you know, that is more affordable. And Lee put me onto the Affinity program earlier this year when they were doing a 6-month trial, and then over the Black Friday sales they had 50% off the entire package. So I think I ended up paying something like $130 for the design. There's 3 programs. It's a designer, photo editor, and something else, a publishing sort of thing for doing books and stuff, which I won't use. But I've actually found this Affinity Designer program to be so much more user-friendly than Adobe, and I've been teaching myself more about putting layers in and playing with the program. And same with the photos, I've actually found it easier to edit my photos in this Affinity program than I was in the Adobe Lightroom. I've found I have more flexibility. It's a lot more intuitive as well. Like Adobe's really good, but this Affinity program's just, for me, it's been really good. And this is something I never thought I would have been able to do. Definitely, I do still have Adobe Illustrator. I'm still using that to do all my labels because that's where all my programs are saved, all my files are saved, and I'll gradually swap it over into this designer program. But I've tried doing it in Adobe Illustrator and I just can't work it out. But Affinity I have, and this is what I've done. So you can see here, I've got a picture of my car diffuser here, which has got the flamingo. Remember, I took all my photos with blanks in it, so I have been able to, just with a simple click of a button over here, I can change it to the cow and then save that cow diffuser with that lemongrass scent. So I can basically go through all my lemongrass scents with all the different pictures and have that picture to go on my website. And then once I've done all of those, if I come down a little bit, let's change it to the mango cocoa. You can see my bottle changed, and then I can just go back through and turn on and off all the different layers to get all the different photos. This has just made this job so much easier, and in 2025 I really want to learn more about designing in these programs and getting the absolute most out of it. As I've discussed with my Patreon members, I have been looking at ways of trying to save money with the move that we did this year. We're trying to recoup again, like we're fine, but the bank accounts did take a massive hit, and there was a lot of things I sat there looking at thinking, can I really afford to keep using it? So I've done things like I've ditched Canva, I've ditched Adobe, and I'm trying to learn all these new things which are cheaper alternatives, and I kind of want to start learning more about doing this in proper designing programs. Canva is brilliant for when you're starting off, and it's really good that you've got all the images there and stuff like that. But I was finding I was starting to look the same as everybody else, whereas if I start designing it myself in one of these programs, I've got more chance of it looking slightly different. So one of my goals for 2025 is to start learning these programs a little bit more, so I can start doing more of these mock-up photos, you know, taking a picture of a blank moisturizer jar, so when I put out a new scent, all I need to do is take the label that I create through the program, make it into a picture, and then do it as a mock-up and put it onto the image that's on there, so I don't have to bring products home every time and take new photographs. By learning how to do this, it's going to save me so much time. And I know there's going to be so many people out there saying, I can't use computers, I can't use software. There's no such thing as can't. I've discussed this with my Patreon members. You either don't know how to, or you won't use it. It's not that you can't, you either just don't know how to use it, and once you learn how to use it, you can do anything you want, or you won't use it because you just have no interest in learning how to use it. So I'm all about learning how to use things, probably because I'm really stubborn, but that is my goal this year, to try and learn how to do more with this program to make my life simpler when it comes to doing photography. But what I am going to now do is go ahead and do all of these photos, because as I said, I've got 81 that I've got to do. It's going to take me a fraction of the time, but it's still going to take a bit of time to go through, make sure we've got each and every one of them. Then I'm going to get them on the website and launch them. I'm so excited to launch these. These have been about a month in the actual making of making the sublimations, making the scents, taking the photos and all that sort of stuff. So I'm really excited to finally be able to launch these. Get onto it. Good morning everyone. I am just editing the footage from Monday's vlog. It is going to be short for Monday, I think. I haven't yet got up to the talking bit, so it could actually change from here, but normally Mondays is the longest footage side because I can actually do more talking and stuff from home than what I can do in the shop. but it does look like it's going to be quite short this time, and part of it was because I had so much work that I wanted to get done and really wanted to concentrate, get it done, because it's something I've been trying to do for a couple of weeks. And so I basically just sat down, head at the screen, and got the work done. I did go to load the air fresheners on Monday night, and I got all my scents loaded, and then I was just starting to work on doing the bundle side of getting it all together when the power went out and we lost power to the computer. This has become an obvious problem to us in this house. We've actually lost power quite a bit. Some of it will be to do because we're a little bit more rural, so you do kind of get left behind on the power grid sort of thing. You're always last to get reconnected, and the infrastructure's not as good. And we have always been very lucky with wherever we've lived in other houses. We've either been on emergency grids, or we've actually somehow managed to land on a grid that's not the same as the rest of the street, and we don't lose power as often. But we've actually lost power in this house quite a bit, and it's always the same power station that we're on that seems to keep losing the power. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be a storm, it just disappears on us. But I had all these screens open on my computer. I was like, oh, it's like, oh, this is ridiculous. And I said to hubby, I said, nothing I could do right then. I said, tomorrow we have to go and get an uninterrupted power supply source for the computer. I can't keep having the computer turning off like that. Every time we've lost power, I've been on the computer, and it does the computer and the external hard drive absolutely no good just to go boom and lose the power. Not as bad as it used to be 10 or 15 years ago, but it's still no good for the computers just to lose power like that. And luckily, a lot of stuff these days auto saves along the way, so you don't lose too much information. Those of you who are old enough to know what it was like to lose power way back when you were working on this massive Word document that you'd forgotten to save, and then you just lost the whole lot. Oh my God, how many school assignments did I lose? It took me a while to learn to save. Anyhow, I said, we need to go and do that. We have had the uninterrupted power supply sources in the past. We did buy one when we first moved down from Cairns down to the Redlands, because the house we were in had a lot of brownouts. You know, they're not a power surge, but they're a brownout where you literally lose power for 1-2 seconds and it all comes back on. And we bought a box for that house, but we'd had it for 12 years. It really wasn't doing its job. In fact, two of the plugs two of the sockets actually no longer supplied power. So when we moved, we got rid of that. So I said, we need to go and buy another one. It doesn't have to be this 8 PowerPoint one that we used to have. It. I just want the computer and the external hard drive on it. I don't care about the printer and the other bits, just those two. So we went and bought just not a cheap one. They're not cheap, but they definitely are cheap when you're thinking about $1,000, $2,000 computer. So we went and got that yesterday, and we also went and did a few other things. I had to go to Spotlight to buy some cracker snaps. I actually make Christmas crackers for my family. In fact, it's not just me that makes them. I made these about 3 years ago out of some material, and I just did them as a bit of a surprise. I did get into trouble for it, but I made them as a bit of a surprise. I filled them up with some scratchies, some little puzzle games, and a little gift, because I mean, you can't get much in them. You can get things like bottles of cologne, earrings and that sort of thing to go in them. So I had to go and get some Christmas snaps to go into these, so we went and did that as well. I also needed a new pair of shoes. I usually have to buy a pair of shoes every year because I'm in them most days, so I basically buy one pair every year. And the last time I bought shoes, I was convinced or talked into by the young girl who seemed to know what she was doing. It was in a place called Rebel Sport. She seemed to know her shoes quite well. She convinced me to get a pair of netball style shoes because I actually don't have proper ankle joints, all the bones are fused together. So I do have some flexibility down there, but I don't have a lot, and it can cause me a lot of pain if I'm standing on my feet all day and I don't have proper support in my shoes. And she convinced me to get these netball pair of shoes over the New Balance that I always buy. And she said because of the way netballers, you know, twist and turn on their feet, these shoes have a lot more support. It took me about 4 months to break these shoes in. 4 months of me just thinking I have to go buy another pair. But at the end of the day, I'd spent so much money on this pair of trainers. It's like, nope, you're going to keep wearing, you're going to keep getting through it. And I eventually got them broken in, and they were really, I won't say they were really comfortable, but they became more comfortable after about 4 or 5 months. And then for the last 2 months, I've been coming home and my feet are so sore. It's actually just the one foot. Both my ankles are the same, but one is worse than the other. And it's my left ankle that gets really, really sore. And it was getting to the point that if we put the aircon on because it was really hot and the tiles get cold, I would be in so much pain on my feet. I'd actually have to go and find a pair of socks or a pair of slippers, which looks really funny walking around in slippers in summer, but the cold on the floor was just shooting pain through my leg. So I said I just have to go and buy a new pair of shoes, and I'm getting my New Balance. I don't care what anyone says, I'm getting my New Balance shoes. My mum keeps telling me to buy Brooks, but it's like, no, I know the New Balance are nice. So I went and bought a new pair of shoes yesterday, and I put them on. I said, oh my God, I'm walking on a cloud. They are so comfortable. And so today's going to be good for that. And then when hubby and I went to the shops, I managed to pick a really quiet shopping centre. I needed to go and get some things to go. I already had hubby's, so his is already in here. He has no idea what I got him. He actually mentioned something the other day, and I'm like, ping, order. I managed to get something he said at work would be really, really handy to have. And I thought, right, I know where to go and get one of those, and I know he won't be able to get one. So I ordered this thing for him, but I had to go and get stuff to go into Mum and Dad's, and then he's got my cracker that he needs to go and fill, which he's going to do today. So I've put all the scratchies and the games. He just needs to find just a little gift, and usually I don't put anything more than maybe a $20 gift in them. And I know that sounds really stingy, but for my family, I only have my mum and dad here, so Christmas is hubby and I, my mum and dad. And then we go and do Christmas with his family, because I refuse to do the whole travelling thing for Christmas. So I am not going to go to one family in the morning and one family in the afternoon. We do it one family, on different days. I did it as a child, I'm not doing it as an adult. I've made that very clear to everyone. So we're going to go, and we will actually have Christmas dinner with my parents on Christmas Eve. It'll be the first time in years we've actually done it. But we're going to go do Christmas dinner. But generally what my family and I do, we'll have something little like that, and then we go and do an experience. So last year we went to the Currumbin Wildlife Centre and we did the hospital tour. We've done things like axe throwing, we've done escape rooms, we've gone and done a mosaic building class. It was that year that I actually first started doing these Christmas crackers, because, you know, Mum and I are both crafty, but hubby and my dad aren't. Well, that's not true. My dad actually is very crafty. He just hasn't been crafty for he can knit, he can do cross stitch, he does woodwork. He just hasn't done it for years because his eyesight's not as good as it used to be. So after we did this mosaic thing, we went and did a lunch, and I took Christmas crackers for us. This year we're actually going to go onto a steam train about an hour north of here. We're going to go and do this really nice steam train trip, take a little picnic and do that as a family. With hubby's side of the family, we go and do the whole kit and caboodle Christmas, food, drink, that sort of thing. But with my family, it's just like, no, let's just go and do an experience together. That's what we like to do. So I had to go and finish getting the things to go in there. And then what else did we do? Oh, I had to go and pick up some more print work, some more sublimation print work for the car air fresheners that I'm working on. I went and picked those up, and some DTF printing as well. I won't be showing that for a little while though. I actually got I think there was 6 meters worth of prints. I'm not going to unroll all of that to show you, I'm sorry. So it was actually a very busy day yesterday, very, very productive as well. Got lots done. We found a tree that had come down. We've got a fence to fix. We've never had to fix a fence. So a tree came down because of all this rain we've had, and it's actually come down. I'm really annoyed because it came down in our front yard. It did protrude a tiny little bit of a footpath that nobody walks down. Just nobody walks down it. And it was overhanging. We saw it when we went out in the morning and said, right, we'll clean that up when we get home. And when we got home, as we were coming down the road, there were all these clean-up trucks, and I'm thinking, I wonder if they've been round. They had been round. They'd basically cut the stuff away and then thrown it all into our garden. I was so cross. It's just like, give people a chance to actually clean up. It wasn't obstructing the road. It wasn't actually really, yes, it was a tiny bit of the footpath, but it's one of these footpaths that kind of start here and then goes and then stops here, so nobody actually walks on it. And there was a little bit on there, not much, but yeah, they've basically just cut all this vine and stuff back and just thrown it all over our garden. It's like, really? Could you not have just put it in your truck and taken it away? Like, oh, these people. Anyhow, we had to go and sort that bit out. We've had to put out a call to see if anyone can actually come and help us cut the tree because it's too big for our little chainsaw. But otherwise, yesterday was a very productive day. I did eventually get my car air fresheners loaded onto the website, and I have already sold a couple, so that's exciting. Oh, and when we also got back, I said to hubby, I have to build my car air freshener display board, so can you come and help me do that? And I am so proud of what we've done on it. It is perhaps one of the nicest things that we've built together. Like, it's just all came together really nicely. I'll show you when we get down the shop. So we've done all these miter joins, and it fit. I've done miter joins in the past, and they're always a bit, I will just put a bit of wood glue in here to hide the misjoin. This one all fits perfectly, and I can't wait to get down the shop and put it all together. But what I have to do, I'm just going to finish editing this tiny bit of the video. I have to go and pull out some shipping boxes, and then we're going to head down the shop, and I'm going to let you know what we're going to get up to down there. Okay, so that was a rather interesting trip in. It was a bit grey, miserable, overcast at home. Not too bad. I left home in about 5-10 minutes down the road. It was raining so hard. I had the fastest windscreen wipers going, and I still couldn't see where I was going. And as I've got into Calandra, you can see the light streaming in. It is beautiful blue skies out there. I was a bit worried on my way in that it was going to be awful and we're not going to get any customers, but it is absolutely beautiful out there. So hopefully there'll be a lot of people trying to do some last minute Christmas shopping this week. I'm trying to get my computer to recognize my fingerprint. Won't do it. I did try to get in early, but a couple of things I forgot I had to do at home, so I'm actually literally just on time. Got to get that door open. I'm going to get the computer on. I've got a big trolley down here. I've got lots of shipping boxes on it. I have got the car air fresheners in here, a few other bits and pieces that we're going to put away. I have to go and get this board up on the wall, and then I will show you some of the things, but I have to get that door open and capture as much business as I possibly can this week. Alright, so I've got the board up on the wall. I actually did hit a stud, so I was having trouble putting one of my hooks in. I'll give you a closer look in a moment, but I have to go and pick these orders. Some of them have got the Christmas stock in, and I'm not making any more Christmas stock. We're a week away from Christmas. What's there is there, so I need to go and make sure these are picked off the shelves so that no one else walks into the shop and buys them. So I'm going to go and do that, and then I will give you a bit of an update on some of the things that have changed in the shop, an update on some of the things that we talked about in the last vlog, and then we'll get to packing these orders. So I have finished packing orders that have come in for today so far. I did get the first lot of orders packed up, and then I got a few more come through on the website as well, which is a good problem to have, very good problem. So I basically had to start all over again and start packing more orders, so that has kept me really busy. We've had quite a few people coming into the shop. We've had a few purchases, but a lot of people, or they're the last minute shoppers, they're still actually looking around for ideas of what to give to people. So it has been quite busy in here. Because of that, I really haven't achieved much today other than packing orders, serving customers, which is what retail is all about. So they're good problems to have. Right now what I'm doing, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I am cutting up the backing boards for my car air fresheners. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking I really should actually get myself a second guillotine, one for at home, because this is a job that does take up a fair amount of time that I could be doing something else that I can't do at home. I could quite easily get myself another guillotine and sit at home and watch TV with hubby while I cut pieces of cardboard up. So I think I might have a look for another guillotine to actually have at home as well. But I figured we've kind of got to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I can't really do a lot of things. There's not a lot of time to allow things to cook and then cool and do all the bits and pieces. So I've had to put off some of the jobs I hoped to do today. I will put them off until tomorrow. One of the first things I will have to do when I come into the shop is I need to make some more of my chamomile and oatmeal moisturizer. I actually did make a batch of it last week, and I put it out on the shelf, and I basically got left with 1 pot of it by the end of the week. So it's a really fast seller. People are taking 2, 3, 4 pots of it at a time. So I do need to make another one of those, another batch of that tomorrow. Probably only actually make a small batch tomorrow because we're so close to Christmas now. I think a lot of the big purchases of it was because of Christmas gift presents and that sort of stuff. So we'll make a small batch of it tomorrow. I'll pick any orders that come in overnight first up, and before we pack them, I'll get the moisturizer on the go so we've got time to do it. I also have a new product that I'm working on, but I'll share more about that when we start making it. It's something that's going to launch in 2025, but I do want my Panda Club members to get access to it before the new year, but I need to make it now so we can take the photographs and give them access to the product. And the other thing I need to do, I've got this idea for a soap that I want to make for next year, but it's a seasonal soap, so I actually do really need to make it this week to make sure that it is ready on time to be able to sell it for the season that I have in mind. I need some pink and some red soap dough, and I've got some pink in my box, but I've got no red. So I'm going to cut a couple more of these, and then I'm going to go and get my oils out and make up a small batch of oils so tomorrow we can make some soap dough. What else? I think that's pretty much it. There's not a lot to be making because we are, you know, so close to Christmas now. People have started to slow down with what they're buying. So I don't want a whole heap of stock, because one of the things I have found with this shop is that on the days that I'm not in it, it can actually get quite humid. My back room in there gets very, very humid. There is no ventilation in there, and there's no ventilation in the back passage. And I think because the guys either side of me have got a lot of hot equipment going all day, it gets really warm in there, and I don't want lots of stock and stuff sitting around while it's so warm. So just gonna have to be careful with that through summer. But let me cut this one last piece here, and then I will give you an update on some of the things in the shop. I'll show you the new air freshener board. I will also cover a few things that I left off in the November vlog. So as you can see, we've got the air freshener board hanging up on the wall, and to me it's looking so good, really nice and clean and fresh, and I'm so proud of what we did. Look at those mitered corners in that wood. That one's got a tiny little gap, but it's pretty good. And as you come down the bottom, there's even more down here, and it all just lines up so beautifully. Hubby and I did such a good job of putting this one together. Someone has to give us a pat on the back, so it may as well be me. But this is the board. We got some pegboard from out of Bunnings. It was actually a bigger sheet, but we cut it in half so I could get two smaller boards so it wasn't too heavy to hang on the wall. Then I got a little bit of pine trim to go around it so it ties in with all of the other furniture and fittings in the shop. And then this shelf along the bottom here was from out of IKEA, and to put this on, because the pegboard's not very thick, we've actually got a piece of wood behind it that this screws through the pegboard and into the wood to make sure it's nice and sturdy. But I'm really, really happy. We don't have too many designs on there at the moment. I've got to press some more, but really, really happy with how that is looking. And then down here, when we left off on the November vlog, I said I was going to Bunnings to pick up some more board to make some more scrunchy boards. This one in the middle was the original, and then I have made another one down here. I did do a video on it, but it didn't go as smoothly for me, but I will share the video and share some of the things I learned about making these scrunchy boards. So I did another one for the big ones, and because the petite scrunchies have been so popular in the shop, I did its own board as well. It was in like a little hanging basket down the bottom of that board, but I decided to put them on their own board. So really, really pleased with that. For those of you who have been watching the journey of the Caloundra shop, you'll know that when you first came in through the door, it was a very blank wall, and people said I should put stuff on, and this was some of the stuff I had in my head that I was going to do. I was going to put some stock boards and stuff on here. So really, really pleased with how it looks. It draws people in, and they kind of go on a bit of an adventure looking at all these different things. We've got this board over here with lots of things on too. I am working on earrings, which we've got a few here. The first lot of earrings I did put out were some little laser etched ones, and they sold really quick, and now I've got these, and I've sold a few of those too. So we're going to start filling that up a bit more, and then hopefully in the January vlog, along the back of these shelves, I'll actually have some more of the IKEA pegboards, and we'll have some more earrings on display. Now, the other thing that we touched upon in the November vlog, and a lot of people have asked me for an update, was that I took an organza bag home with some soapy scraps in. I had about 60 grams in there, and it lasted me almost 2 weeks. I think it was something like 12 days it lasted me using it every day in the shower. And I think if I'd put a few more sort of chunkier pieces like I've got in these bags, it would have lasted me a little bit longer. But I figured 2 weeks wasn't that bad for, you know, a bag full of soapy bits like that. So I did decide to go ahead and make up some bags with what scrappy pieces I had. As you can see, I'm not charging very much for them. I've called them Confetti soap bags, and I've also made sure to put a few little chunky pieces in here as well, just to make sure that it does give well over that 2 weeks worth of use on them. And they have been quite popular in the shop. This was actually full, like full when I first put it out. We've sold quite a few of them. Now I am sorry for those of you that can't come into the shop, I'm not putting them online because these are going to be basically something that I either have or I don't have, and I don't want to have to keep putting them on and off the website or sell out, and I definitely won't be able to make or replace them anytime soon. Plus the other problem with these is that I can't be 100% sure of the ingredients list on them, which makes them very hard to list online legally. I can do things in the shop to actually talk to people about, you know, if you've got allergies, yes or no, you can't, whereas online it's a little bit harder. So I won't be selling these online, but they are available in the shop and they have been popular. So if you're a soap maker and you're just over making confetti soaps and don't know what else to do with your soapy shreds, pop them into organza bags. I actually need to retie that one. Pop them into some organza bags, and I have actually since seen someone else who does like a Ziploc pouch full of it with a little organza bag, so people can just make up their own to take in the shower. But they have been popular and I really actually enjoyed using it. So I'm going to take this one away so we can retie it. So I'll retie my little bag here. I'm going to carry on cutting my air freshener backing boards here, and then it should possibly be almost home time. I'm watching the Facebook page at the moment. There's a lovely country club just up the road from us. We went there for my birthday dinner. I went there with my parents and it was really, really nice. There's no gaming machines in there. It's very, very family orientated, and the food, oh my goodness, the food was so good. Sorry, I just had someone come into the shop then. The food was really, really nice in this country club, and they do lots of different things during the week. So like they have a pizza night, a palmy night, or chicken parmigiana night. And on a Wednesday night they do like an almost mini degustation. It's like a 5-course meal. That sounds huge, but it's just five dishes that give you a selection from off the menu. And the last few that we've seen over the last couple of weeks is like, oh, that sounds really, really nice. And I said to hubby, well, we'll keep an eye on the page today and we'll see what tonight's is going to be, and if it sounds nice and it's something that both of us will eat, we'll go. And you know what, every other week they've updated the page by this time of day, and it's like, oh, that sounds really nice, and it's usually too late, but they haven't updated it today. It's just like, just because we want to go, they haven't actually done it. Like back on the 4th of December they had things like smoked salmon with little bellinis, you know, those little pancakes. There was truffle mac and cheese, lemongrass ginger kaffir lime chicken wings, there were fish sliders and crispy pork belly. So they're always savoury, there's never desserts on there, but you know, it's like, oh gosh, that sounds really nice. You know, I wouldn't have been able to eat the mac and cheese. I would have just given that to hubby and I would have taken something he doesn't eat, but we were going to do that tonight. I would have taken his salmon. But they haven't updated their page, and it's just like typical. I want to know what's on there tonight so I know whether or not we're going there or whether or not I need to pick something up on the way home, and they haven't updated it. So I'm just going to have to keep watching it. I'll give them up until about 3:30, and if they haven't updated it, then I'll just grab something on the way home and we'll try again next week. So I'm going to keep on with that. I've cut quite a few of these now, so I'm going to keep on cutting these up, head on home, then we'll be back in the shop tomorrow and we'll hopefully get on to making the moisturiser and this new product that I want to share as well. Alright, so they've finally actually just released the 5-course menu for tonight at the country club. They've got a chicken liver parfait, hubby won't eat that. They've got miso cured salmon, hubby won't eat that. They've got tempura prawns, which he will eat, but he won't eat the wakame salad that it comes with. And then there's Korean pork sliders, which he will eat, and braised lamb and Spanish chorizo with toasted sourdough, which he will eat as well. So there's only really 2.5 things he'll eat. So I've just said we won't go tonight because it's just a waste, and I don't want all of that extra food either. So I guess I'm going to be stopping on the way home to pick something up. Luckily, as a backup plan, I did pull out something out the freezer that if we didn't go out tonight, we could have. If not, we'd have it tomorrow. But I guess I'm going to stop and get something to go with what I pulled out the freezer. I actually pulled out some pulled pork, so I might go make our own pulled pork sliders or something. I don't know, I'll go and see. But I am going to go and shut my door and head off home. Apparently there's some big storms coming in, and I want to try and get to the post office before they close. Alright, it's Thursday. I'm about to go and open up the doors. It's a bit grey and overcast out there, and there's a bit of a breeze going as well, but it's not hot, it's not raining, so there's a bonus. I can see there's lots of cars going up and down, there's a few people walking, so hopefully it's going to be another really good day, and the weather encourages people to actually come out. I've got a couple of things I need to put away. I got a new delivery of pipettes because I'd almost run out of those, and I've also got a delivery here from off of Heirloom. I've got myself some more Provitamin B5 because I've been using a lot of that lately. I've started to experiment putting it into a few more moisturizers and things like that. Got some more bentonite clay so we can make some more shaving soaps because I used the last of it the other day. Bentonite clay is really good for helping the razor slip and glide over the contours of the face. I also finally got myself some orange candle dye. I've been waiting for Aroma to get this in for so long, and it's been out of stock for who knows how long now. And I wasn't prepared to go to any of the other candle places because it was going to cost me a fortune just to get a bottle of candle dye sent through. But then I saw that Heirloom have now got the dyes in for candle making. So, well, they've probably had them for ages. I've just never really looked. So I got myself some orange candle dye to replace that. And then George from Dawn Organics encouraged me to get some tallow from off of Heirloom. Now, I have used tallow in the past when I first started making soaps, and I was kind of really experimenting with what recipe I wanted to use, you know, where I wanted to take things. And I remember trying tallow as an alternative to using palm, because generally in soap making either palm or tallow produce some of the nicest bars of soap because of their fatty acid makeup. So I actually did try using tallow, and I already knew what it smelled like because I remember as a kid my dad's parents, we used to go and have Sunday roasts, and then my granddad used to take the fat that used to come from off the roast beef, and he used to render it down, and then he used to make bird seed things for the birds in winter. So you used to get like some bird seed and then set it in the beef fat or the tallow, and then you'd hang it up so that in winter the birds were getting that nutrition from out of the bird fat to keep them warm throughout the sort of winter. So I knew what tallow actually smelt like, and it doesn't bother me in food. But when it came to using it in soap, I didn't like it. And so many people say you can't smell it in soap once it's saponified, and it's like, I could smell it, and I'm not a fan of soaps that have actually got tallow in. And I said to George when he got it in, I told him my reasonings, and he said, no, you got to get some. So I was putting an order in for those other 3 things, and postage was actually really expensive, I must say, for those 3 things. It's making me think twice about how much more I'm going to actually get from off of Heirloom, because there are other places that sell stuff that might be a little bit more, but their postage is a bit cheaper. So I've now actually really started looking at that, and the postage for the 3 things was just like, whoa. I thought, I wonder how much it will be if I actually add in a kilo of this tallow, and it only bumped my postage up by $3, but it actually then spreads the cost of postage across the products at a lesser rate. So it technically makes things cheaper. So I ended up deciding, right, we'll give this tallow a go and see. Oh, he's right, it actually doesn't smell. It's been deodorized, so it doesn't smell like cooking fat at all. Oh, that's really quite interesting. I was expecting it to have that beefy smell, and it doesn't. So whether I add it into the range or not, I don't know, because all of my packaging does say that my soaps are plant-based oils. If I did it, I would have to actually create a completely separate label for this soap and just see how it goes. The thing with tallow, yes, vegans won't use it, but some people actually still will use it because it is a waste resource that we're using. So whether you choose to eat meat or not, the sad fact is the animals are still being processed, so the fat becomes something that a lot of people don't use. And by being able to use something that nobody else is going to use, in my mind, how I was always brought up was to use everything that you choose to take. So if you are going to take an animal's life, you eat everything. And I've always been brought up eating offal, you know, hearts, kidneys, all that sort of stuff, and I still do. I don't do it at home because hubby doesn't like it, but quite often if I'm going to mum and dad's for dinner and mum says, what do you want? Can we have? And I'll ask her for something gross. And she'll cook it for me. But I have been brought up with that concept of using everything that you're going to take. So for me to use that beef tallow, in my mind, I'm using a resource that no one else is using, which is a good thing. Anyhow, we all have our own opinions. That's mine. It's not right. It's not wrong. So please don't come at me if you are vegan and you completely disagree. It's just how I've been brought up. Anyhow, the only orders I got come in last night were actually gift voucher orders. So I've only had to process them on the computer. I don't do any picking and packing. We'll see if any come through for the day. But what we're going to do today, I'm going to get this moisturizer going. Once that's cooked and we've got it all mixed, the next thing I'm going to do is work on a brand new product that's coming out in January, and I'm so super excited for it. I have finally cracked a deodorant formula. I have been working on this for more than 3 years now. I would either get ones that didn't deodorize, I'd get ones that were too soft, too hard, everything in between except for where I actually needed it to be. And over this spring, when spring started, I started reformulating my deodorant formula again, and I've been testing it for the last couple of months, and I am loving it. I am now prepared to actually put this deodorant formula out. So what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to make these deodorants. I think I had 6 or 7 variations, well, not variations, different sets. We've got an unscented and then some scented ones. So I'm going to make those up today so I can take photos on the weekend and give my Pamper Club members access to the deodorants before the new year. And then I'll actually be launching my deodorants to the website and into the shop in the new year. And not only that, if you are a Patreon member, that is the recipe I am going to be sharing with you in January. And not only am I going to share one deodorant recipe, there will actually be 2. There'll be one for a stick and one for a tin. I'm making a stick because I don't understand tin deodorant. I don't like the concept of it. But for those that do want to do a tin, tins can sometimes be a little bit cheaper to produce than the sticks. I am going to share both of the recipes over on my Patreon page. If you're not a member and you don't want to join as a member, you can actually follow along on there for free, and then when I put the recipe out into the Patreon shop, you can actually purchase the recipes separate and not have to actually pay to follow me on Patreon. So that's a really good feature that they brought out last year. I think they did it. Anyhow, it is 9:10. My door should be open. I'm just watching the op shop across the road. They're late opening as well. And then the shop next to them, it was a stationery shop. And last month, I think I mentioned it, that they were clearing out. And now there's actually someone in there renovating it. So I'm going to have some new people across the way in the new year, I'd say. Anyhow, let's go and get this door open, get this moisturizer on, and then we'll start working on these deodorants. Oh, I'm so excited to be releasing them. So I'm just finishing off the deodorants. I wasn't able to make all 7 scents today. I went to pick up one of the oils that I use in here and I didn't actually have enough in the bottle, and my big drum of it is actually still at home. So I've put the bottle with my bag tonight to go and take that home, refill it, and then tomorrow I can do the remaining 3. So I've done 4 today. I'm having to do it in a 2-step process, just making sure I've got no grease on my hands there. You can see that when this actually sets, because the amount of waxes and things that are in there, it creates that hole, a bit like when you do things like lip balm. So it creates that little hole. So I'm kind of filling it almost to the top, and then I'm leaving some behind in my cup here. Then I've just very gently remelted it, and now I'm pouring it, filling up the hole, and then filling it right up to the top. Now normally I would weigh absolutely everything that I am filling into these containers, but I have filled so many of these now in my testing process. I know exactly how much they hold, and my label has just a few grams less than what they actually do hold to make sure. And I don't want to be moving them on and off the scales, because the minute you make any dribbles on these containers, they get stained. I did actually over pour on one of these, so this will probably become one of mine. It's the only thing I hate. Well, it's not the only thing I hate about these cardboard containers, but there is no other alternatives. I have been trying to use some of the plastic ones, but the quality of what we're getting from our suppliers are just not, I don't feel comfortable using them. Some of them twist up really nice, some of them don't. So I'm having to go with these cardboard ones to make sure we get good quality across them all. But because they do stain so easily, I don't want to be moving them on and off my scales while I'm weighing how much I'm pouring in. But I do know from the copious amounts of deodorants I have made how much these hold when I fill them right up to the top. So I've done them on that double pour to get rid of the air bubble. And then I've also poured myself a little tester. So I've got 4 of them done up today. I'll make the other 3 tomorrow. Got 1 more here to fix up. Today I've done a coconut. We've got an ocean bloom, which has a bit of a seaside sort of feel to it. We've got a watermelon splash, which is a bit of watermelon and mint. And then this one, what did I do in this one? I can't remember now. Oh, summer breeze, which is a very classic sort of deodorant, clean cotton sort of smell. Tomorrow I'll be doing sandalwood and vanilla and a tropical. And then I'm also doing bare essentials, which is an unscented one. So I'm gonna get this last one done. And then I've pretty much done everything I need to do for today. No, I haven't. I need to go and put my cool down ingredients into the moisturizer, and then tomorrow we can pop that up. So once I've done that, I've done everything I need to do today. So what I'll end up doing is sitting and cutting some more of those air freshener backing cards for the rest of the afternoon. It's almost 2 o'clock. So I'm going to do that. We haven't had any more orders in, so I won't have to stop at the post office on the way home. That's a good and a bad thing. I look really excited because one of the reasons I am excited about it is on certain days on the way home, there's this little park area and there's a fish van that pulls up there. And I see locals stopping there all the time, and I have really wanted to stop and see what fish that he's got. It's fresh caught off the, straight in from off the wharf sort of thing. So I've wanted to stop and see, but I've always had parcels with me to go to the post office, and I literally have a 10 or 15 minute window between, passing this man and getting up to the post office, which is only a couple of minutes up the road. But so I've never stopped when I've got parcels. So if I actually don't have a parcel to go to the post office today, I might end up stopping and seeing what the fish van actually has. So I'm going to go get this one gently melted down so we can finish that, and then onto some more cutting, and then I'll be back in the shop tomorrow. Okay, it is Friday. I woke up to an absolutely beautiful morning. The sun was shining, there was blue skies. I had some washing sitting in the laundry that desperately needed doing, but it was all stuff that actually can't go through the tumble dryer. So I put it on for a quick wash this morning and hung them out on the sideline that Pepper can't get to. Hung them out, and hopefully it stays nice and sunny at home and that they'll dry in time for when we get home. It is a bit dull green and overcast here in Caloundra, but that's, just because it's raining here doesn't mean to say it is at home sort of thing. I got home yesterday and I pulled out the oil that I needed to re-top up. So I've filled up my bottle of oil so we can get on with making the final 3 of the deodorant tubes. Right now I'm just labeling up the ones that I made yesterday. That looks a bit boring, but for now what I'm going to do is just stick my labels on them like so, and my hope is if these are going to be as popular as I'm hoping they will be, I'm going to see if I can find someone who can custom print the tubes for me. I just think they're going to look nicer custom print, but the problem is you have to usually get quite high minimum order quantities. Most of them are about 1,000, so I'd be needing 7,000 tubes. So I want to make sure that they are going to be worth actually going to get the labels professionally printed up. So the plan for today is to have lots of customers in. We'll see how that goes. I've already seen quite a few walking out in the street because it is a nice day. But in terms of what I'm going to do today, as I said, we're going to finish making the last 3 of these deodorants. I'm going to also try and get the draft liftings onto my Shopify store so that on Sunday, Monday, I can take the photos and get them released to my Pamper Club members. Other things I have to do today, there's actually not a lot. We have to pot up that moisturizer I made, and that's pretty much it. There really isn't much to do. And so if I do get a chance, I'm going to unmold that soap dough that we made yesterday. I'm going to start making the embeds for this soap that I want to make. Ideally, I really need to make that soap by tomorrow so I can cut it on Sunday, because after Sunday I've got 4 days off from the shop, and I do not feel like coming in 4 days after making a soap and cutting it, because Ida is likely to break. So that is the plan for today. I've got about 5 minutes until I need to open the door, so I'm going to go get myself a cold drink. I like to have a bottle of water just sitting around in the shop, and I just drink that all day. So I'm going to go and get that ready and then see where the day takes us. was about 12 minutes late opening up the door this morning, but it is now open, and I'm running around now just trying to clean up the mess that has just occurred. I came into the shop early this morning. I gave myself about an hour and 10 minutes early before the shop opened so I could make the 2 soaps that I needed to make. Now, I know from having done this for so long that when I'm filming a soap, it generally takes me half an hour to, get everything out that needs to be done for that soap, make the soap, and then clean up to get ready to do the next soap. So I gave myself that full hour plus about 10 minutes just as a emergency sort of thing. And I really needed to give myself a whole extra half hour, because as you can see, I've got 3 soaps over here, and I want to share with you something that I did. I've done it a couple of times, and I've always been able to save it before anything really happened, and I've always tried to learn from that mistake. But when you're in a hurry and you're trying to do certain things, sometimes we're not quite paying attention to what we're doing. And I want to share it because I see this in groups all the time where people say, I carefully measured my oils, I carefully measured my lye, I carefully measured my water, and my soaps lie heavy. It doesn't matter how careful you are about measuring things, things can still happen that result in mismeasurement. And the number one thing that usually results in mismeasurement are your scales. Now, it's not blaming your scales, because at the end of the day, you are the human that is operating the scales. So as a human, you've probably done something to make the scales read wrong, whether it is that if you're using battery operated, it could be flat batteries. It's why my scales are always plugged into the mains power, so I know that I don't have to worry about flat batteries. It could be not tearing the scales. There could be any number of things, but the number one thing that I tend to do wrong is I have something leaning against my scale, and I'm going to show you. So when I make my soaps over on this bench, I generally clear it all out, and if you've seen some of the videos, you know there's always a set of scales sitting on this bench, and I have it sitting on there so if I do make any spills, it's easy to wipe up. They're harder to wipe up on wooden benches, but whenever I make my soaps, I move my scales over to this bench, and normally I don't have anything else sitting there, but today we've got to finish labeling up the deodorants I made yesterday. And what I hadn't realized, I put my lye jug on here and I poured my lye into it for what I needed, and I got on to making my soap. This one, which was going to have all these little embeds on it, and as I poured my lye in it, I thought there just looks to be too much liquid in my bucket, and I carried on making the soap. And once I got this filled, I thought, there's too much soap in my bucket. I have done something wrong. I shouldn't have this amount of soap left after pouring that. And I kind of sat there thinking, do I carry on? What do I do? It's likely to be the lye that's mismeasured, because I measured my oils yesterday, and I know, I know they were right. It has to be the lye. So I decided I'm not going to risk it, because I put so much time and energy into those little gnomes, and I need this one out next year. I thought I'm just going to put that one to one side, and I'm going to remake it, because I'm sure this one is lye heavy. So I came over here and I put my lye jug onto my scales, and I over poured by about 3 grams. So I went to tip those 3 grams out into the big bucket. I put my jug back on here, and it read at a higher weight, and I'm thinking, that's not right. So I took the jug off and I put it back on, and it read at a lower rate, and I'm thinking, oh no. And what had happened was I had actually pushed my scales back, and this basket was actually touching the metal, and sometimes it was just clipping underneath and lifting that metal just that little bit, which reduces the weight, and then sometimes it caught on the lip that's on this side of it, and it was pushing down the weight and making it appear heavier. So I know that I've actually poured off way too much lye to go into that soap, so I'm going to have to let it set up, and I'm pretty sure it's either going to be at like 1% super fat or 0. I'm going to have to weigh how much soap I've got there tomorrow, and see if I can work out what I have actually done wrong. So I did remake it because I really wanted that one to be a nice soap. Well, I want all my soaps to be nice, but I really wanted that one to be perfect because of the embeds. That is the Patreon design. More on that in January. So basically my lesson to you guys is when you are putting stuff on your scales, make sure there is absolutely nothing around the scales. Whether you're using a mains power or a battery one, make sure there is nothing around them that can actually touch the weight plates, because that is generally what throws you off. So it really doesn't matter how accurate I was with actually weighing my live water into that pot. It was never going to be right because I had that basket touching my scales. So unfortunately I do have one wasted soap. That meant because I got halfway through that one, I had already used up sort of 20 minutes of my allotted time to make up these two soaps, and I thought I have to do them today, I have to do them before I open the door. So I quickly remade them. So now I'm running around trying to get everything cleaned up. But we are going to get on with the day. There are quite a number of people out there. It's Saturday, so hopefully we'll have a few more last minute shoppers coming through. I am pleased to say I have made my rent money in the shop, and the online customers, thank you so much. You guys are the ones that are really getting me through each of the months at the moment. The shop money is literally paying my rent, and the online is buying all of the replacement stock and giving me a little bit of spending money. It has been a really tough year for everyone this year. If you are in any form of business, you know how tough it is. We just do not have the spending money at the moment. There's been so much turmoil, and people don't know what's going on in the world at the moment. We've got wars, we've got elections that, even though it was an election in America, it actually does affect the rest of the world because we're all pegged against the US. So we were waiting to see what was going to happen, to see what we actually needed to do with our money. We've had big companies get into trouble for contributing to the cost of living crisis that we're in at the moment. So hopefully now they've been in trouble, things will actually start to settle down. But there has been very little money around for people to spend, which then means because people have got little money to spend with me, I've got even less to spend with other people. It has a real knock-on effect. So if you are in business and you've really struggled this year, I've seen so many people close down, but just think it's going to get better. It's an economic cycle, the ups and downs. We go through the highs and the lows. I can't think what the high is called right now, but we go into recessions and even depressions, and then we come back up in the cycle. We are right down at the bottom of that cycle at the moment, so we should start coming up. If you can hang on for a little bit more, it will pay off. You just have to have faith in it. And I know how hard it is. You don't see me at home crying to my husband saying, I don't know if I'm going to survive in January and February. You don't see that side of things, usually because I have those really bad times when I'm not on camera. But I do. I do get very worried. But just hang on in there. Retail is all about, I had a customer come in the other day, she says, I don't know how you do it. I had a shop here and I just couldn't cope with the highs and lows of the sales. That's retail for you. You have highs and lows. Now should be the high season, and from talking to everyone, no one's having a good high season at the moment, but just think it could be better next year. So keep hanging on in there. Anyhow, that's enough of that. I am going to get on to finish cleaning up my benches. We'll get the music back on for anyone who may walk into the shop. We're going to label up the deodorants, and that's pretty much all I have to do today. So I'm thinking, while I do still have just a little bit of mess, I do need to make some more little rays of sunshines. I've got none on my cure rack, and I've only got half a bucket full over here, which should keep me going throughout halfway through January. So we need to make some little rays of sunshine today to top them up for when we come back into February, March. So I'm going to get on with that. 5 minutes until I close the door. It's been a really productive day. I've had quite a number of people coming through the shop, a lot of locals who have said that they've spotted my shop on walks or driving by and have finally had a chance to come in. They've been getting a few little stocking stuffers and things like that. I've also been giving samples out just to try and encourage them to try the products themselves and then hopefully come back in the new year. So slowly working on that sort of advertising side of things. It has been a pretty productive day. I cleaned my bench, so I've got a nice clean workbench to come into tomorrow. It's one of my goals for 2025 as well, is to try and have a much more cleaner sort of work environment. At the end of the day, it is a working environment, but I am making hygiene products and I want it to look nice and clean when people come in and not just have things all stacked up on the side. So one of the things I have done is worked on some storage space out the back. I've put in a new shelf. I was actually inspired by George from Dawn Organics, who sent me a video of his work area, and I spotted something. I thought that's going to work perfectly for me, and I got myself some new shelving to actually put on the bench out the back. So here's a quick look at it. It goes all the way up to the top there, but you know, that was all wasted space up the top there, and I thought, well, rather than putting extra shelves up, because I didn't want to put any more holes in the wall that have to be fixed when I eventually move out, I just went and got one of these stainless steel or whatever style of bench it is from out of Bunnings. I got it from Bunnings rather than going to Kmart because it gave me a really good weight distribution on the shelves, whereas the Kmart one I didn't think was going to hold as much weight. And then I've just sat it on top of my workbench here, and it's given me so much extra space, and I was able to get rid of a lot of the stuff that was sitting on my bench. The other thing was I was able to put my diffuser stuff up here, my reed diffuser stuff, which meant I could get rid of one of the trolleys that was sitting here, and I actually now do have a little bit more room in here as well. But one of the things, as I said, I do want to try and focus on in 2025 is making sure that this stays nice and neat and tidy, and it doesn't always look like an absolute mess. Keeping in mind I still have to work in here, so there's always going to be something out, but hopefully not just boxes of random stuff that I'm constantly moving around. So really pleased I got all this tidied up. I then got onto the computer. I loaded all of the deodorants as drafts on there, so all I have to do on Monday is take the photos, edit them, and get them into the into each of the listings. I've also got 4 soaps out the back which are actually ready to wrap up, so I'm going to do that tomorrow, and I listed all of them as drafts on the computer as well. So again, I take the photos on Monday, edit and upload them. But it has been really productive for that sort of thing today, feeling really good about it. So tomorrow I'm actually going to come in super early, and I'm going to go into the markets first of all and just have a little bit of a look around. I want something extra to give to my mother-in-law. She does so much for us, and I just want something a little bit extra to give to her for Christmas, and I'm hoping I can find something at the market. I know I've left it pretty last minute, but I have been pestering hubby as to what we can do, and there's been no ideas given to me. So I'm going to go and wander around the markets. She loves planks and that sort of thing, so I'm going to go and see what I can find there, and then I'll come back down to the shop with about half an hour to spare, and we'll cut the soaps. Well, I'll cut the soaps on video for the January videos of those soaps, but we will also have a look at that other soap that I messed up, and we'll see whether it really is lye heavy and try and work out just how much extra lye I actually did end up putting into it, and whether it is completely unusable or not. So that is the plans for tomorrow. I'm going to go and get my door closed because I don't think I'm going to get any more business. I'm going to give myself a 2-minute early mark and head home, and we'll be back in tomorrow to do it all over again. Alright, it's Sunday. I've had a busy morning so far. I don't have a Christmas shirt or Christmas leggings on today. I've only got one Christmas shirt left, and I want to save that for Christmas Day, and we've had so much rain lately. It's been really difficult to actually do washing and that sort of thing, so I decided not to do the Christmas shirt today, but go for something bright, happy, sunny and cheery. So I've got that going. I came in early this morning and I cut the 2 soaps that I made yesterday, the 2 that I know are definitely fine. I filmed all of that, and then I've just gone for a walk up the markets. I've I have found something from my mother-in-law. She's been having a lot of problems with her back lately, and she is due to go in for surgery as well. So I just thought I'll go and get her one of the waist heat pack things. So I went and got her one of those. I did send hubby a message saying, do you think your mum will like one? But I've had no reply, so that's what she's getting. She does also like my soap, and I've just bought out a little sampler range, and I know she's going to really like the size, so I've saved her some of those, and she'll get that. And she loves honey, so I'll probably also go and get her a pot of honey. And I know it all sounds really, really random, but my mother-in-law is the sort of person who, she has everything. She's had everything she wants in her life, and all she wants is her family around her. So I just want to give her a little something so that she gives everyone else everything. I just want her to have something to open as well, which quite often, to be honest, she has forgotten about at Christmas, which is sad. So I wanted to make sure that that she's got something from us. I know she'll shout at me, but I don't care. It's what I do. I got myself a bit of breakfast. I also got myself a really nice iced coffee while I was out there. It's so warm. And then I got Pepper a Christmas present as well, because she hasn't got anything. I found this wonderful stall up there. I won't show them because they're a bit it'll make a lot of people squirm. I only give our dogs natural treats, so I don't give raw hides or anything like that. So I've actually got her some chicken feet for her Christmas Day treat. And then this stall that I found have all these toys which are Staffy tested and come with guarantees that if they actually manage to chew or destroy them within 60 days, they replace them. So I got her a new ball. I picked a really bright one so we could see it in the garden. And then I also got her this tuggy of war sort of game thing. The people running the market down there showed me there was a police attack dog, and playing with one of these with their owner, and it is super, super strong from what you could see. It was a big Alsatian and hanging up in the air like the attack dogs do. I think if Pepper had been any other breed but a Mastiff Staffy, I think if she'd been an Alsatian, she would have made a brilliant attack dog. Once she's got a toy, that's it. You cannot get it off her. The only way we can actually get toys off her is to go to pick her up and she immediately drops the toy. Now I know that sounds pretty bad, that not well trained, but because I've always trained my dogs to give me stuff. If I say, can I see, I expect to get them from them. So I have been working on that. We are now at the stage that if she's got food, she will give us food. If I give her one of these bony things and she's got it and I say, can I see, she will actually give it to me. And we realized she would do it when she actually found a snail shell one day in the yard, and she kind of understood how delicate this snail shell was. Like, it was a huge snail shell, and she had it, and I said, can I see? And she just spat it out into my hand. So she kind of knew it was delicate and couldn't be tug-of-war toy. But when it comes to her toys, she's got Staffy grip. I can tell you can actually pick her up in the air and she just holds on to things. We don't do that very often because that's not good for dogs. But there has been occasion where it's like, give me the toy. So, oh, she's off the floor, put her back down. So I've got her this so that hopefully she can have a really good play with it and it will last a while. Quite often we give her a toy and she'll play with it for an hour, and as soon as we start to see her chewing at it, we take it away and give her a chew toy, trying to teach her that not all toys are chewy. So I've got her these little Christmas presents as well. There are quite a few people out at the markets, and there are people spending, not just me, there are other people spending out there. So I'm going to get the computer set up, we're going to get the door open. I do actually have to finish cutting. I only cut half of my Valentine's themed soap on the camera. I need to finish cutting that. We're going to cut that other soap, the one that I think is light heavy. And I also brought down some of the earrings that I have been working on at home as well. I just thought I might give it one sort of little go just before Christmas. I'm going to find a place to hang all of these up too. So we're going to have a busy morning. I also have some soaps at the back. If I've got time, I'm going to wrap them up, but we need to get set up. I've got 5 minutes, but I do want to try and get the door open and capture as many people as possible coming into the shop. Oh, I'm a bit excited. This is really stupid and really random. A little while ago, I opened up my phone and found one of the Google Doodles. You know, they change them all the time. Well, oh look, hubby's actually messaged me back about 5 minutes ago saying, yes, that would be a nice idea. Tough. I did it. Anyhow, I found one day, sometimes when you look at those Google Doodles, they're actually games, and I don't always play them, but one of them back in October really caught my attention, and it was a half moon phase game, and I started playing it, and I thought, oh, it's a bit easy, you know, it got to the stage where the computer was just letting you win, sort of thing. And then they brought another one out in November, which was actually harder, and you didn't always win. And like the October one, the game used to put things, you think, why did you put it there? Like, obviously I'm going to win if I do this. And then they brought the one out in November, and it was a little bit harder. And I realized they brought them out on the 21st of every month, and I've been sitting here going, why did they not bring one out for December? Because it's now the 22nd. I've just opened up my the Google page to go and log on to my point of sale, and look, they've brought out a new half moon phase game, so that gives me something to play tonight. We'll see what they've actually done for the December one. Told you, silly, random, but these little things, it really makes you concentrate. And if you've missed seeing the game on the day they release them, you can actually go and look for them in the archives, or if you actually Google search half moon phase game, it brings up all the old games, and you can go and play them, and really makes you think about how you're playing the game. I really enjoy those sort of thinking games. Anyhow, stop yakking, get the door open, people have just walked by. Alright, so I've worked out that this soap is very much lye heavy. You can actually tell just by breaking it apart just how crumbly it looks. So I know this soap is, just by looking at it, is lye heavy, but I have just done a few calculations to work out whether or not I can save it. Let the noisy car go by. So what I've done is I've actually weighed all of the soap that I've got here. And yes, there's going to be a little bit of wastage in the bucket and that sort of thing, but I've got most of that soap out, and it came to 3,098 grams, so just over 3 kilos. Now, if I make my soap bars up normally, according to this, the total weight that I should have with the lye, the water, the fragrance and everything else is 2,911. So we've got it's almost, you know, we've got just over 100 grams more than what we should have. So what I've done is I took that main weight, that 3098, I took off the amount of fragrance oil that I know I added, which was 97, and I also took off the amount of oils. Now I know, or I feel that I did get the oils right because I actually weighed them the day before, so the scale was over on my bench, wasn't impeded, so I'm pretty sure we had the correct amount of oils. And then I worked out I actually had 1051 of water and lye together. Now I know that my lye, with how much I use, like super fat and everything, my lye is about 32% of the water content. So we're getting into maths here, dangerous territory, I know. But I took the 1050 and multiplied that by the 32%, so by 0.32, which gave me 336, which is the amount of lye that's present in that water amount. Now for me to do a 0% super fat on my soap, I need 290 grams. So we are about 46 grams too much lye. So this is definitely lye heavy. If you were to use this on the skin, that is when you get that red raw look, and it's just not pleasant to use. So now that I've done all that calculation, I'm thinking it's such a shame to throw this out, because quite often it's hard to work out what you've done wrong when it comes to a lye heavy soap. But I know exactly what I did wrong. I've got too much lye. So what I then did is I thought, well, how much oil do I need to add into this soap to make it safe to use on the skin? More complicated maths. I know that my lye component is equal to about 14% of my total weight of the soap, or total oil weight of my soap. So I took the 336 divided by 0.14, my 14%, which has given me 2,400. So I should have actually used 2,400 grams worth of oil in this soap for that amount of lye. So what I've decided to do, if all that maths hasn't bamboozled you enough, is I'm actually wrapping this up in some cling wrap to make sure that it stays nice and soft, because it's going to be much easier for me to do this. Wrapped it up in some cling wrap. And when I come back after Christmas, I'm not going to do it today, I just don't have time on Sunday to do it. When we come back after Christmas, I'm going to chop this up, I'm going to stick it in my crock pot, I'm going to add another 450 grams worth of oil from out of my oil tank. I'm going to hot process it, and then hopefully we'll end up with a soap that can still be sold, can still be used, and will be really, really nice on the skin. I might even throw in a few little extras into it as well. So that is how I'm going to save my lye heavy soap. Just remember, you know, sometimes if you actually stop and think about what could have possibly have gone wrong with your soap, you can actually save them. You just have to, you know, be aware of what you are actually doing and acknowledge that mistakes could happen and know where those mistakes most likely happened, and then you can actually save those soap bars. So I'm going to do that when I come back after Christmas. is time for me to go home. Another Sunday is over. I have just taken the Christmas countdown down from out of my window. I thought it might just look a little bit funny if I left it up there saying 3 days till Christmas, because by the time I come back into the shop, Christmas will be over and we'll be counting down to New Year. So I figured I'd take this out of the window. I haven't done a lot of recording today because not a lot has really happened. I did put away all of the soaps. I've cleaned up out the back, put all my washing up away and things like that. So it's going to be a lovely clean space to come into on Friday. But honestly, not a lot has happened. I decided to go and do a little bit of a stock take of a few of the items, especially what Christmas stock is left, and I'm going to go home and either this afternoon or on Monday I'm going to launch a big sale on the website just to get rid of the rest of the Christmas stuff and the other bits and pieces I've got sitting around that I'd like to be moved from out of the shop for 2025. So I'm going to do that. I don't know if I'll do it this afternoon because hubby and I have to go and do a little bit of food shopping. I'm in charge of making salads for Christmas Day, so I need to go and get all my fruit and veg for that. And on Christmas Eve, we're actually heading down to my parents for the day. So I don't have much time. We're going to do it this afternoon. I'm just looking around to see what else I have to do. So I think, yeah, not much has actually happened. I've only had a handful of people coming into the shop today. I think I've only actually had 3 people buy today. It has been a very, very tough month as well as year. There's also been a lot of changes, and I keep trying to tell myself that I am basically a brand new business again. People are slowly finding me. It has been pretty tough, but we are going to get through it. Not many people came in today, and I am actually seriously thinking about not opening on Sundays anymore and maybe doing Tuesday to Saturday. I think I said it in the November vlog as well. I was just waiting to see what was going to happen over the school holidays, because Caloundra is a holiday destination and you get a lot of people coming up here for the school holidays, and I wanted to see how Sundays would go with the school holidays. But so far they've not been particularly good, and I'm just thinking that I'm kind of a little bit stuck. You've got the building that's down the street that's being built, and they've actually blocked off the footpath, which again I think I explained in my last vlog. What I discovered after doing that vlog, one of the other shops from further down, that beautiful little shabby chic style of shop, she's got some lovely things in there. She came up to me to talk to me and said that November was actually her worst November that she's ever had in the 3 years that she's been in that shop. And she was asking how I was going, and I said, can't really compare because I'm brand new, building up my customer thing. And then what we discovered is that further up the street that way, up at the zebra crossing, they've actually put a sign saying footpath closed, cross here. And that is why everyone's been walking on the other side of the street. Now this is despite the fact that if you carry on down this side of the street, down the bottom, you can still actually access the other zebra crossing before the footpath is closed. And she said it has absolutely destroyed her business, and she's been trying to get them to remove this sign and they just won't do it. So that's been really, really hurting us as well. So it's kind of like this building finishes in mid-June, mid-year next year. So hopefully the footpath will be open. We'll be getting a lot more walking by traffic. So I don't know how much longer to actually keep trying to do Sundays. I did say to hubby I'd do it all through the summer school holidays and see how it goes, and then maybe when we get back into, you know, regular work hours again, school time and stuff, I'll go back I'll actually change it Tuesday to Saturday, and maybe in school holidays I'll just do a 6-day week as a bit of a special. I don't know, I've got a few weeks to actually decide what to do from there. We'll wait and see. It's all about trial and error. Anyhow, I am going to head off. This is the very last video for 2024, and then I'm going to just have a couple of weeks break, just to kind of recenter myself, get myself back to where I've been, where I should be. 2024, as you know, has been a massive year with moving house, moving business, and everything, all these big changes that have happened. And I can tell you, I have always felt like I am like 10 steps back from where I should actually be. I've been really slow and late at putting out some of the Patreon posts. Some of your YouTube videos have been very last minute put together. In fact, I've even missed weeks on here as well, which I have actually felt very bad about, and losing that consistency. But with everything that's been going on, I've really lost that sort of planning that I usually have so ingrained and in place. And for 2025, I want to try and get that back in place. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to sit down and really plan how I'm going to tackle 2025 to make sure that we're getting videos out to you consistently, making sure that my Patreon members are getting their posts out consistently back to what it was prior to 2024, when my life just went pshung and everything went all over the place. So that is my ultimate goal for 2025, is to get myself back into the routine that I used to be, but also improve upon it as well. So I'm going to take the next couple of weeks off to try and focus or refocus where I want to be, and then hopefully we'll be bringing out lots of more content for you. So as I've always said in previous videos, no matter how you celebrate or don't celebrate this festive season, I hope you do have a great time, get to spend time with family and friends, stay safe, and until the new year when I bring out more videos, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you then. Bye.